So I'm Emily Blayfeld, and
I'm Dan Cohen.
and we're excited to be with all of you together to look at love in COVID-19 and how to open to new pathways for connection. So I think we're going to start with a meditation where we wanted to invite you to put on your mask and to just really drop into the field of what we're inside of. We might want to have our masks down so they can hear us unmuffled.
Right.
But it's good to just make contact in the tune-in.
Mm-hmm.
So we welcome you to just close your eyes or cast your eyes downward. Feel the soles of your feet on the earth beneath you and the crown of your head pointing to the sky. And just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Notice this mask covering your mouth. You can allow it to allow yourself to just notice the way it feels on your face. Its function. How you've been in relationship to it in the days leading up to this call. As you breathe in and you breathe out, just make contact with the intention that you came to the call with. What sparked your interest about this call? What part of your soul, your heart, maybe the heart of your relationships, maybe the questions you're carrying. What parts come with you? Seeking to be understood, revealed, explored.
We've all been wearing masks ever since we were very small children. And our parents, teachers, our peers all taught us how we were supposed to behave, what we were supposed to feel, what we were supposed to desire. If you've ever been to the birthday party of a 1-year-old, universally, 1-year-olds are always more interested in the wrapping than they are in the present. They'll play with the ribbons, with the wrapping paper, the box. They treat the present the same way a cat would. And what's inside means nothing to them. But they're taught to love the present. They're taught to want to be given presents. That what's inside the box is an expression of how loved they are and who loves them. That's not natural to us. It's a gift that comes from the manufacturers of toys for children and the toys for adults. So the conditioning to wear the mask of what makes us happy and what makes us sad, and how we show that to the world, how we smile for the camera, starts at a very early age. But we haven't had to all have cloth masks over our faces before. This is something new. But the mask itself is not new at all. And underneath, inside these cloth masks that we're wearing now, the only time we get to take them off is when we're alone. But as soon as we go outside and we're with our community, we have to wear them. And we don't know for how long. And it brings us back to the same feeling that we had when we were 1 year old, where we didn't care at all about the present. All we cared about is that we were curious about what we could touch. And we knew that it felt good to be loved.
Each person on this call said yes in some way to traverse new pathways for connection. As the doors of our home close, as fear is instilled around physical touch, and as we are tucked inside our homes, many of us are finding ourselves deeper and deeper connected to our own inner child, to the roles we wear in the world, to the roles that are being questioned, to the identity that we're inside of. For those that are in an essential role out in the world, they too are questioning their existence, their soul contracts around service, the feelings of oppression. And as they deliver our food or hook up our ventilators and grapple with their own inner fear, they wear masks. We're invited in this time to travel where the masks came from, how we love and how we were taught to love, how we connect with ourselves and with others, and where that comes from. How, as a collective, we've perpetuated the roles of oppression, of consumerism, of disconnection. We've created space to avoid vulnerability and to secure the masks. And in some ways, the pandemic messages and the pandemic movement is inviting many of us on a larger level to really reckon with our inner selves, how we show up, and how to reveal a new way of being. And rather than returning to normal at some point in the future and trying to dance among the ruins, that we return with a new message, a new way, and deeper pathways for connection. So in this last moment, I just want to invite you to really feel in your own life, in your family, in your work, in your purpose, in your relationship to yourself. What are you hiding from? What masks are you still wearing? What roles are you questioning? What ways of being infuriate you, and how are you contributing to them? Yeah, and what's the call on a deeper level? You might even feel the little flame of light in your heart, and tend that inner spark. Throw a log into the fire of your being and open to the channels of resources behind you. And set an intention for this call to really reconnect and expand your capacity to connect to others at a much deeper level. Take another deep breath in and deep breath out. You can open your eyes and begin to come back to the space. I'm going to invite you to take off the mask and place it somewhere near the computer as a sacred object that's seeking transformation in some ways. It represents something you just made contact with and we'll learn more about as we work the call. I'm going to put it behind my computer with the hope that it'll move and shift on this call. I did fix the mute button that somebody posted about, but can Fern, could you tell me if your mute is working? Like if you can unmute?
I unmuted.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, perfect.
Mhm. There's not that many people on this call or anywhere that like having to wear a mask to step outside. There may be some parts about it that you can appreciate, but overall, it comes to us with the feeling that there's something wrong outside. We're wearing it to protect ourselves from what's out there. And we have a great interest in trying to understand what's happening out there and what needs to change. As we work with constellations and we work with seeing with your heart, and many of you are familiar in one way or another, either with the work that Emily and I do or the bigger world of constellations, they all basically show that everything that's out there is also contained within us. That there's nothing out there that is not a part of us as well. So, and the most effective way to work with what's out there is to begin with discovering how it lives in us. Because we can't actually do anything about the supposed out there unless we are able to confront whatever it is that we're rejecting out there, unless we can confront and work with it within ourselves. So in working on it within ourselves, we actually are working on the pandemic. We're working on changing the world as it's appearing to us. And the mechanism that we're using is to discover what is it within ourselves that is the pandemic. and how everything that is impacting us we can find within ourselves and work with and ultimately hopefully heal and thus be able to become healers in the world.
We've noticed that in some ways, the field is reflecting this mythology construct of the descent, the initiation, and the ascent. And in some ways, there's this, many of us are in social isolation, in a descent, watching some of the things that we were connected to and excited about in our lives get canceled, watching roles and identities shift. And in that descent process, not some are living alone and not really receiving any kind of physical touch or connection. And, humans need touch. So there's a lot of emotions, inner child emotions rising up. In a way, what Dan just described on a collective level, like we can point in the world and say how wrong it is, what's happening in terms of oppression and the ways that the political or the government are kind of responding to the collective. But on a personal level, a lot of couples are arguing at home. There's a feeling of I'm not being listened to. You're not thinking about me. You're only thinking about yourself. You're checking out. Whatever the story is on a personal level, people are stuck in their homes together, and their inner child start to argue. And what Dan just described is like it's easy to point at your partner and say what's wrong with your partner, and yet oftentimes it's exactly the thing we need inside of ourselves. We want our partner to listen to us. Well, are we truly listening to ourselves? We want our partner to create space for us. Are we creating space for ourselves? We want touch. We're feeling a yearning for touch. We're alone in our homes. There's no one here with us. Have we put our own palms of our hands on our heart? That there's these early childhood interrupted movements to the self that get activated when tucked inside, alone, disconnected from all of these distractions that we've come to rely on as life. So we have a process that we're going to bring you into that's a breakout rooms and then a collective constellation on some of these topics around love and connection. So I'm going to introduce those now. Does that feel right? Anything else you want to share?
Nope.
Okay. So in the chat screen, you will see we're going to break you into groups of 3. And in the chat screen, I just posted it. There's person 1 is representing you in isolation. Person 2 is representing the difficult emotions behind the mask.
Of person 1.
And this isn't just you in isolation. It's the difficult emotions that are rising up for you to greet, that are long-standing, that live behind your mask. There's a birthday party for one of our neighbors. So if you hear the drumming in the background, there's a parade going by for like one of the little kids. Really sweet. So we're working with your inner childs, I think. The third representative is the inner truth that needs to be spoken in the light.
Person 2 and 3 are representing for person 1.
And you're going to do 3 rounds of this. So each of you will be person 1, and each of you will be person 2 and person 3. Just make sure you just keep switching. If you're completely new to representing, our hope is that all 3 of you won't be new at the same time, and that there will be somebody in your room who can support you in doing this, in how to drop in. Everyone can do it. The key ingredient is just trust yourselves and trust what's there.
So we're going to have 43 rooms, 42. People are bailing on us rapidly here, but it's 42 right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A couple of people are
42 rooms.
Walking at the breakout room, but that's okay.
Somebody just asked us to recap. So just again, person 1 is you. You're going to stand, you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to feel you in isolation. Person 2 is representing the difficult emotions behind the mask. So person 2 is representing person 1's difficult emotions, what they're facing in being in isolation, what they're facing in their life, what they hide. You know what, right now I'm facilitating, and you see like a smiling, composed face. If you saw me yesterday, what were my emotions? When my mask is off, when I'm not subscribing to some role, when I'm just being with Emily's experience in isolation, that's what person two is representing if I were person one. And then person three is the inner truth that needs to be spoken in the light. What is person one's inner truth that needs to be spoken in the light? For me, doing this, it was, it's okay to stop. It's okay to put down, you know, some of the things that you have in motion. You have permission to stop. I needed that truth, something like that. But you want to feel what's going on in your body. You want to report whatever shows up and just trust everything that's there. Bring it forward, whatever's there. Take the lid off.
You're going to get a prompt on your screen inviting you to the breakout room. So you click that and it takes a few seconds and you'll find yourself with two other people. Some people are in pairs on their screen. And so still do the exercise with three people so we can all finish on time. And the fourth person can, can represent perhaps a resource or some kind of external nourishment into the field. If you're in a room with two people, just pick one of you to serve as person one.
And yes, you're each going to have an option to do person one. If there's four in the room, you'll probably only have an option to do three. So one would step out. And we will bring you back in 15 minutes.
Yeah, so you take
right?
5 minutes per round. So you step in, you represent, and then person two reports, and then person three reports. And then person one can kind of share what they're feeling and have the last word, and then you switch. So what we want to do is we're creating a large group constellation for everybody. So for all the people on the call, to give you a chance to make contact with your relationship with love in the time of COVID-19 and what is coming up for you as this big interruption, this massive global interruption in our ordinary activity. As it's introduced itself, how is it impacting your life, and particularly around the area of love? This is the 7th large format Zoom call that we've done on the pandemic. And the earlier ones were more about the pandemic themselves, of like, where did the pandemic come from? How is it impacting humanity? What's the call of the virus? And this particular call, we're bringing it to a more personal level. So we actually have a 4-class series that'll begin on May 7th. And in that one, we will be looking both at the collective and the personal. And we felt into what was needed for this one. And people are now 4, 5, 6 weeks into their isolation. And there's still not really a very clear end in sight. And so we felt like we wanted to make contact at more of the personal level of how is this self-isolation and the threat of illness, how is it affecting people's hearts in terms of their relationship with love and their own love. And so that's where we're going to be going. The way that we work in these large formats is we do blinded constellations. So we have picked out, we have 15 representations that we have selected. And we are going to assign 15 representatives. We're going to put them in a breakout room. While they're in the breakout room, we will then reveal to the rest of the group what the numbers, each one will be numbered. And we will give you all in the chat screen the key of what the numbers represent. And you can record that. You can paste it, copy and paste it out of the chat screen and put in a little Word document or just note someplace. So you have that key. And then we will bring the representatives out of the breakout room, hide the list, And then they will each be assigned a number. They'll each take a number 1 through 15, and they will be representing blindly what is what the assignment is that number. And then we will walk through the rest of you how to participate in that. So it's actually a constellation. Each one of you will be the client in a sense. So if you don't have a numbered representation, then you are the client of the constellation, and you'll be able to be in relationship with each of the representatives and be able to see how your own relationship to love in the time of COVID-19 is being impacted by these elements.
I'm gonna have to just poll some people that, I'm gonna just pull some Seeing with Your Hearters. If you really don't want to represent, that's okay, but actually it's not okay. I'm just gonna put you in the breakout room, but you would have to tell me or just come back out and say you don't want to represent if you don't want to be in it. We are working mostly with our students that from this year's immersion, but we're just gonna bring some other, so, okay. Ed, are you open to representing? He's muted.
Ed Lynch, do you want to represent?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13. We need 2 more. 2 more. So. Sorry, you guys. Takes just a second. Oh, here she is. Okay. 14. Here she is, 15.
Okay, we missed a couple of people on the list. Okay.
Okay. All right, great.
Okay, so thanks for the volunteers. We actually had a couple of the people that we had
That already had a volunteer
already
to do it.
volunteered that we just didn't see their names on the list.
So
we're going to put them into the breakout rooms. So you can all join your breakout room when you get prompted.
So what we are doing is we're just sending those 15 people to a breakout room so they're not here. And the rest of you, just to make sure they're all in there before we reveal.
Okay.
There's 1 more, 2 more that haven't joined yet.
Well,
Oh, there we go, now they're gone.
Okay.
Okay. So in the chat screen, I'm gonna post the representatives. And I'm gonna, so all of these people are gonna know is what their number is. They're not gonna know what they're actually representing. No, the numbers didn't come through. Hang on. The way that it's set up or copied and pasted. How do I fix that? Yeah, I can do it. Okay. Here we go again. No, that worked kind of. So you'll see number 1 is ancestors. Number 2 is Gaia. Number 3 is greed. 4 is physical touch and affection. 5, consumerism. 6, my true essence. 7, love. 8, future generations. 9 is angels, spirit guides. 10 is fear. 11 is my inner child. 12 is loved ones dying alone. 13 is money. 14 is new ways of life. 15 is addictive numbing behaviors. This is all inside of the pandemic and us in isolation. We didn't put that in there because we're kind of working within the context of new pathways for connection inside love in a time of COVID-19. So that's sort of implied in the context.
Can I just say I missed 6, 7, and 8. You went off when that.
If you click on the chat screen, everyone clicks on the chat screen at the very bottom, you'll be able to see the list.
All right.
And you can copy it.
Gaia is Earth. It's just like it's a term for the Mother Earth. So you can copy that into another section. What I do here is I'm gonna do like a period and then an enter. I'm gonna keep doing this. And that makes it so if they came back on, they don't know that I did this. They don't know it's here. So if they see the chat screen, they're not going to see it's. I'm going to do this for a while until it gets blind.
That's enough.
That's probably enough. So you can just pull up your own chat screen and scroll it back.
You can scroll.
I can still see 10 through 15 on my screen.
It's 1 through 15. Yeah, you should.
Yeah, but the ones coming back in won't see the same. You see a different screen than what they'll see.
She's saying that I should keep
I can
going a
see it
little
on
bit longer.
chat, so they can see it too.
Is that good?
Perfect, thanks.
Does that cover it? Okay, cool. So when I bring it back, you can scroll back on your own screen. Okay, I think we're ready. So got that. I'm gonna bring them back into the breakout rooms.
And then the rest of you can turn your cameras off.
So the reason we ask you to turn your cameras off is it is going to put us, again, for the facilitators on the call, I just want to do some basic teaching. If everyone turns their camera off.
How do you turn your camera off? Do you do stop video?
The bottom
Yeah, stop
left,
video.
there's something that says stop video.
Stop video.
And for some, you may have to click the top right of your little tile. There's like three buttons in the top right.
Okay. And now everybody who's in a representation, you all need to unmute and make a little noise, and Zoom will pull you onto the first screen.
So kind of make a little humming sound.
Hum, hum, hum,
It'll
hum,
put you
hum,
all on the first screen. Okay, great.
Singing now?
So for those that are facilitators, in the bottom left of your screen, don't worry about this if you're not a facilitator. I'm just going to give them the orientation.
Okay.
The bottom left of your screen, there's a little arrow up next to mute. You hit audio settings. No, you don't hit audio settings. Here, you hit video settings. Then you hit turn off my video when, hide non-video participants. So that is one of the best features on Zoom. Arrow up, audio settings, click video, and click hide non-video participants. That will give you what I just got, where it's the only people that are representing have a picture up. And sometimes there's a miscellaneous one that you just have to hide their video. Thanks for your patience, hang in there. Okay. So we're going to invite each of you to pick a number, each of the representatives to pick a number. Those that are not on the screen, we know you're not on the screen. We're going to work with you momentarily. We're just setting up the reps. If you know how to rename yourself the number.
Okay. Hui is 2.
1.
Ed is 1.
8.
Three.
That was Nicole.
That was Vina. It was 8.
Dina.
7, Trudy.
3.
Oh,
Sarah.
wait, Nicole.
Ed is 1.
Mhm.
Betty's
I have to
Trudy
be
is
8. I
7.
can be 6.
I
Vina's going to be 6 instead.
have 6.
Nine.
Venus not 6.
I'm going to let someone else decide what I am.
11.
Ellen is 9.
Alan's 9.
Amanda's 10.
Alana's 5.
Margaret's 13.
Alana's 5. Margaret's
Right.
13.
Tracy's 12.
Vern, 11.
Nicole is 8.
Amanda, what are you?
10.
10.
10.
Amanda's 10.
What's left?
3 and 4. Oh, we have 3.
I have 3.
I'll be 4.
Venus 4.
So Leo's 3.
No, Sarah's 3.
Oh,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is Margaret. I thought someone was 11. Who is 11?
15 is Libby.
Vern is 11, 12, 13.
14.
14.
Missing.
Do we have 14?
No,
Is anyone not numbered?
Leo.
Leo can be
Leo
14.
Leo can be 14. Leo, are you unmuted? Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
he's 14.
All right, we've got everyone. So we're going to invite you all to stand, all the reps to stand, and those witnessing also stand up. Nine is Alan. So for those witnessing and those representing, just drop into your number. Just kind of start to feel and allow yourself to feel what is the consciousness of the number that you're representing, and just drop in more deeply. Those that are witnessing and that are new to this, everybody that's on the screen in front of you does not know what they're representing. They just chose a number and are representing their number. Those that are witnessing from the outside looking in, your image is not supposed to be on the screen. You're still on the call with us. We're just, you're just going to be, it's almost like we set up a constellation in the circle and you're in the circle witnessing from the outside. So we want to first just invite you to drop in and really feel the intention you came to the call with. Love in COVID-19. New pathways for connection. Make contact with the intention, the challenges, what you greeted in the breakout room. And take a moment to just stand as yourself. What we've set up here is a system, a collective picture of representatives that have something to do with you. You have the representatives. You can look at those numbers and feel how are you in relationship to each number? Which number might you go stand next to? Which rep are you repulsed by? You don't have to do this from your head. You can even do it intuitively. Don't look at the list and just feel in your own body, which one are you called to and which one are you pushed away from? What feelings come up as you make contact with each of these reps and hear from them?
The virus is one of the original life forms on the planet. One molecule. That only exists to replicate itself. And it only exists inside of a host. And can only live very briefly outside. Our bodies are always filled with viruses. And most of them are either benign or symbiotic. But all through human history, viruses have played a major impact on the movements of people, and the creation and the dissolution of communities, and the rise and fall of civilizations. So outside of your surface awareness of the plans that got impacted and the events you had on your calendars that are not happening, and what you are doing now on a daily basis for work and food and relationship. Your body has a deep, deep history with viruses. So the emotions that you're feeling on a daily basis have deep, deep roots into the origins of human history. And this descent into this pandemic creates an opportunity for some type of initiation, for you to be able to shed aspects of yourself that don't serve your life, and to be able to come through this process more alive, and more connected to love and purpose than you've ever been.
For those standing and witnessing and noticing how they feel in relationship to these reps before we get their reports, just want to welcome your inner child. The part of you that learned how to love, how to be, how to relate to stress. Just notice how what you're showing the world when you get on the phone, when you get on these Zoom calls, when you go for a walk down the neighborhood, and then what you feel inside your house. Feel how similar that might feel to how you felt as a child, or different. You might take a moment and step back and feel your mother and your father and their inner child. How their inner child is in relationship to all these elements. When the pandemic of their life descended on them, when they felt socially isolated, abandoned, disconnected from all that they knew, what came up for them? How did they respond? And you can just welcome their energy, their feelings. They live in your heart. Your heart grew from their heart. For those witnessing, you can choose to stay standing, or you can sit as we get reports from the representatives. Those representing, we would ask you to stay standing.
And Ed, you can sit, of course, if you need to.
Sit down.
Yes, you can sit
Of
down.
course, yeah.
Thank you.
And we're going to just take some reports. And so when you report, just, just a couple of sentences. There's a lot of reps and we want to be able to move through. So be efficient in your reports, just what it is that you're feeling from your representation.
Those witnessing, you can reference the number so it's easier for you to understand what they're representing.
We'll begin with number 1.
Spaciousness and essence and openness and fullness.
Great, thank you.
Number 2.
I feel cold and very curious. I just want to look at all the screens and look. I feel like a onlooker that's curious, like a peeking, like almost like a peeping Tom. Like I want to look at everyone. I want to know what everyone's up to. I'm kind of like up in everyone's business. And I'm distracted by symbols of infinity, the 8s, the infinity sign, loops, color red, and yeah, my surrounding is changing. I feel like there are noises that are distracting me, but I just want to be up in everyone's business.
Great, thank you.
Number 3.
I feel pain in my heart. I feel like I want to put my hands over it. I was looking around for something to protect it, but I couldn't find anything. I'm looking for something to help me. I'm very curious in number 8. Like I feel hyper aware. I want to run over to where 8 is and see what's happening. I'm very connected to number 5. And I'm very curious about what number 13 was holding and may still be holding.
Great, thank you.
Number 4.
There's uncertainty, frustration, sort of antsiness. I just really want to, impatience. I want to keep moving. Whenever anyone else is talking, it's really annoying, especially the slower you talk. It drives me crazy, and I feel like moving is really helping. And then there's just like something right here that I don't want to look at.
Number 5.
So at first I got really cold and I had to grab a shawl, and then I immediately wanted to cover myself, my mouth, and like hear no evil, speak no evil. And I kept breathing into my mask and I felt descending, and then I couldn't breathe anymore, so I had to put it down. I'm really, really drawn to number 9, and but I was not paying attention to anyone else in the field. And 9 really caught my attention. And then I noticed 15 wasn't in the field, in the screen, and it freaked me out, and I felt relieved when she came back in. Number 14, moving close and moving back, is making me really, really anxious. But as 9 moved closer to the screen and I could see him, I felt more relief and like I could breathe, but there's still this desire to hide behind my mask and not see, hear, or speak.
Thank you. Number 6.
There's a lot of nervous energy. I just want to keep moving. I want to smash, I want to throw this rock right at my computer, the screen. The only one I'm really concerned with is 2. I wouldn't smash 2, but I just want to smash, just throw this. There's a lot of energy.
Thank you. Number 7.
I'm walking around like a curious cat, very quietly around everything except for 5. When I get to 5, I jump back, so I can't go near 5. And number 8, I stop and look at 8. I have no flipping idea what 8 is doing. Like, I don't even know what 8 is doing. I don't, 5, I can't go near 5, and then I'm just the rest of the time just between everybody, just like a cat, very quiet.
Thank you. Number 8. Oh, you're muted, number 8. There we go.
Just to number 7, I also have no idea what 8 is doing. 8 feels a lot of resonance with number 2, number 3, number 4. In the beginning, there was this definite need to get as high as possible and to climb, and to be small and to climb up to the very top. And once number 8 was there, I started to feel like a cat that had gotten caught up in a tree that couldn't get down again and needs to cling on for dear life.
Thank you. Number 9.
I want to know what's going on. You know, who's in charge, or somebody should be in charge. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. I feel like number 1 is, why isn't he coming out and taking charge? What's going on with this guy?
Thank you. Number 10.
I'm just, my nose is running and I feel really hot and I'm so tired, so tired. All I want to do is just lie down and sort of just like watching as if this is like a movie or something. I'm not really interested in anybody in particular, one way or the other.
Number 11.
Did you just say 11?
Yes, 11.
I lock up from time to time, so I didn't hear all of what 10 said. I feel split, both holding capacity and somehow feeling contained, blocked, constrained, under a membrane or behind. So limited, not drawn or repulsed by anyone. I was trying to sort out relationships, but a couple of things. I feel a little confusion because I don't know if I imported a larger field from what's here, but something in the dark seems redemptive or healing of value and something that I want to walk toward, and it might be a doorway.
Thank you. Number 12.
I immediately started to feel like my limbs just melted away like a candle when it drips down and drops in my arms and my legs. And then I did this really funny thing with my feet and started to turn. I did a complete anti-clockwise turn. And when I got to, there's a picture of a cross, but it didn't feel religious. It felt more like I found a faith. I found something to anchor me. And then I could turn and I just feel really quite settled and just looking at beauty.
And number 13.
I had an overwhelming concern for those not chosen. And then to be one of the people seen, like I'm concerned with the people that can't be seen, that weren't chosen. I feel connected to 8. I want to capture 8. I'm drawn to 3. I want to take her essence. I'm threatened by 2. I wanted to see if I could impale my brain with this. If I drop this rock, if I could impale it on this chair. But then I realized that probably wouldn't work. So I wanted to stone 1 with it. I want 12 to see me. I need 12 to see me, and 12 won't see me. And an 11. 11 is really causing great distress. I think that 11 is artificial intelligence, like part machine, part human. And I'm really scared of that. I'm scared that everyone's artificial intelligence and that I'm the only person that's human anymore.
Thank you. And number 14.
I feel like I want a fucking scream. I'm like so pent up and like and this part of me wants to start self-destructing. Like there's just I'm considering like head banging this beam here. Like that's like so much frustration and trapped, and the more yourself and Emily talk, the more torturous it is. It's like being, and then there's this thing of, you know, this is about love. This is unfit for human consumption. I can't have this in a social setting. I don't know what to do with this. This is how do I have this? How do we talk about love and feel this sort of energy? So it's crazy making.
Thank you.
Thank you. And number 15.
Well, at first I left the screen because I was tidying up, and not because I wanted it neat, but because I felt I needed more space. When Dan was talking at the beginning, I felt like the need to turn my back to him. I just didn't want to hear it. When you said it's just a one-cell organism that lives, you know, that lives in a host, I thought, oh no, it's much more powerful than that. It's much bigger than that. From the very beginning, I was worried about Alan, even when we were in the breakout room earlier. You know, I was afraid he wasn't going to be able to get out of the breakout room. Then when I had to make sure I had everybody in order. I had to make sure I knew all the numbers. I was repulsed by 5. I'm afraid of 2. I feel that 11 is also, there's something phony about that. And I have a certain tenderness for 10. And I thought I was dancing. You know, I thought I just like, because I felt like dancing. I thought, oh, I love rainy days. And then when Leo started talking, I wanted to sort of box with him. So I think I want to box more than dance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So for those witnessing, I might invite you to stand again and to feel which representatives do you feel most connected to? And take a moment to maybe step into that representative. So if you're feeling really connected to 1, stand with 1 and ask, who is this in your own field? If you're connected to 3, stand with 3 and feel, how does this relate to your own field? Feel how 3, the 3 reported a pain in their heart, wanting something to help them. As you stand it with 3, just feel how are you in relationship to that, filling your pain in your heart. When you feel an uncertainty, when you're standing with 4, a frustration, and moving helps. What if you were to stand with 4 and stop moving and really feel that yearning that's there? Feel how when you stand with 5, connecting that with that energy, hear no evil, speak no evil. Grab your shawl, wrap yourself in it. Feel how that's connected. How are you in relationship to 5? When you're really with number 6, do you too have a consciousness of wanting to throw rocks at the computer? To throw rocks even at this question? of what the computer represents. When you stand with 7, what comes up for you? I have no flipping idea. Very quiet. It feels a little bit like a cat. Feel how a cat moves and operates in life. When you stand with 7 and you connect to this energy, how different this is for you. When you stand with 8, the desire to be small, to climb to the top, to get caught up in trees. And right now, how 8 feels like they're clinging on for dear life. Connect to that in your family, in your lineage, how they may feel that way. And just your place in relationship to that. You stand with 9. The message is someone should be in charge. Why isn't 1 coming out and taking charge? Do you connect with 9? Do you call in 1 to support you? Or are you just bumbling around in this world just as if you're not a flower on a vine, you're just yourself, alone in your home? 9 is pointing to 1. 1 reported a spaciousness, an essence, an openness, a fullness. 2 is watching, a peeping Tom, all up in your business with infinity signs and the color red. Feel how you're in relationship with 1, with 2, with 8, with 9. 10 worries about her nose running. She feels hot. She's not really interested in anyone. Feel how when you get to 10, you also lose contact with others. How your physical symptoms come to the forefront. Step into 11. Notice your relationship with 11. I look up from time to time. My holding capacity feels somewhat contained, blocked, constrained, limited. Sorting out my relationships. There's some confusion, something in the dark. Just feel in your own life how you're with 11, how your holding capacity may be constrained, how you're trying to sort out your relationships to yourself and to others. When you're with 12, the arms and legs are dropping down, moving in the opposite direction of time, anti-clockwise, connecting to faith, really settled, looking at beauty. Feel your relationship to 12. And if you have a relationship to 12 that's very direct, call them in. Invite them to be here as you greet that energy. 13. An overwhelming concern for those not chosen. Consider those that have 13, how they may feel. If you're somebody that has 13, how does it feel to have it and to receive deliveries from those that don't? The concern you hold for those. That's just one interpretation, there's many. There's a desire to stone. You might step back and feel those that had 13, how they stoned others in generations prior. Take 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps back to a time of stoning. Feel in your own lineage, those that stoned. Feel those that are benefiting by 13 and artificial intelligence. What's being funded? Why did artificial intelligence come in at this time? Part machine, part human. I'm only human. How are we allying with 13 in this time to try to connect through love? 14, stand with 14. I want to scream, so pent up. When you feel into the vision of 14, what do you fear? There's self-destruction, frustration, trapped. Many of us question, how long? This is more torturous. If this is about love, this feels like it's about human consumption. And 15, stand with 15. Connect to your own patterns in this way. There was a tidying up, a needing of more space. Didn't want to hear it. What parts of you worry about other people and don't want to hear it? Get caught up in 15. What does tidying up in your own world look like? What does doesn't want to hear it look like in your own world? I invite you to take 2 steps back. Standing in the realm of your grandparents.
And notice the ways that you're blocked from love. Find the grandparent that was blocked from love in the same way, and stand with them.
Where did you inherit the mask that the pandemic is asking you to take off?
Feel your mother or your father as a little child with that parent. How old was your parent when they felt that isolation of the child who feels themselves alone in the darkness, or the child that feels himself filled with light, that gets stepped on and squelched by the adult world, as if the adult world is only there to snuff out the light of love in little children. And take this back to stand as the parent of one of your parents. And how your quest for love right now has a root that grows from them.
You may be facing a shadow side as you stand in this place. You may be facing an aggression that one of your parents experienced from their parents. You may be facing a disconnection, a loneliness, a despair.
What's the family virus for you when it comes to love?
In this descent journey, we're often asked to drop roles, to take off the regalia that we've put on. In the descent of Anana into the underworld, there's aspects that need to die. Many of us are in a death cycle. What regalia are you removing to give space to your true self? What patterns of loving are limiting your capacity? are keeping you from authenticity. I'm going to invite you to take 2 more steps back and drop into the great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents realm. Feeling for a resource. When we're alone in our homes, we're with our ancestors, we're with our guides, we're with our parents, we're with the family we grew up in. We're with our soul's evolution and the call of this life. Your soul chose to live in this time with these patterns. Who's here with you? With the message? What is their message for you? If there's anyone that is representing that wants to share, you can come closer to the screen and report if there's a message from you.
Hello, can I report?
Yes.
It's really strange because I've been doing my family tree all this week and I was really attracted to number 1 and I just felt his strength and his solidity. So the message I got when I took 2 steps back then was stay strong and stay proud. Yeah, that was it. And I can tell that the issue about loving is coming through my mother who lost her own mother when she was 3 and she had a stepmother who wasn't very pleasant. So I can identify with that about my own issue about loving.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Number 6, the ancestors are here to help you connect.
Any of the reps that are standing here, do you have anything else you want to share before we bring people back?
Number 13, realize that I'm the one that's become part machine. And the message from stepping back was, it's time to become human again. It's time to become human, to become fully human again.
When I went back 1 generation, I could understand better the suffering. But then I went back further and I could see signs of fun. And also the message, this is the 3rd time I've gotten this message today, that it's okay to relax. It's okay to